The distress signal drifted through the cold dark with a slow pulse. A lonely cry from a small frontier outpost positioned at the fringe of known space. And as it traveled, it passed listening posts, patrol lines, cargo lanes, and scientific arrays until finally it reached the wider networks that connected countless worlds. And with its arrival, it stirred unease across governments, alliances, and guilds that rarely agreed on anything. For the code embedded in that faint signal was ancient, classified, and reserved only for an event so dire that even the oldest civilizations prayed they would never hear it again. And yet, here it was, a silent alarm that had once been used in a forgotten era when monstrous threats roamed freely. An alarm etched in the collective trauma of the cosmos, from the largest council halls to the smallest monitoring stations. The message caused shivers not because of what it said, but because of who had sent it. For the outpost belonged to a small human research team stationed near a region considered unremarkable, insignificant, and utterly devoid of danger. And yet now there was a call for help, a call known as a Level 0 cry, an alert that no species dared ignore. And while many empires held grudges or schemes against each other, they all understood the meaning of that ancient code, that something extraordinary and catastrophic had arrived. Leaders convened in urgent sessions. Fleets were mobilized in frantic order, and countless analysts pored over every scrap of data they could gather. But there were no additional transmissions, no follow-up, no clarification, only the echo of that first signal. And the stillness that followed, it was more terrifying than any roar of battle, as though the outpost had simply vanished from existence after sending it, leaving only a trembling whisper behind when the Allied response fleet approached the region. The crews aboard the vessels felt an unfamiliar tension, and even the most battle-hardened species aboard felt a creeping chill, because the outpost should have been visible long before arrival. But instead there was only empty space, debris scattered in strange patterns, and an energy signature that did not match any known weapon or phenomenon. And scanners detected distortions that resembled claw marks upon the very fabric of space, marks that bent light in unnatural ways. The flagship, commanded by a veteran officer named Ralvek, moved closer, its armored hull reflecting the glow of distant stars. And the crew worked with careful precision as they surveyed the wreckage. But what puzzled them most was not the destruction itself, but the eerie silence. For normally, there would be residual signals, heat traces or chemical signatures, yet here there was nothing. Only a void so complete it felt like a wound in reality. And as they ventured deeper, they found the first piece of undeniable evidence: the broken frame of a human transport module suspended among drifting fragments of alloy inside that wreckage. They recovered partial recordings, grainy visuals that flickered like dying embers, showing humans scrambling to seal doors, alarms blaring in the background, shadows twisting outside the translucent windows. And though the image quality was poor, the terror on the faces of those inside was unmistakable. Not fear of war or invasion, but something far worse: the fear of an unknown force they could neither fight nor flee. And the last clear frame captured a scene of blinding light before the entire outpost seemed to rupture. For a moment the fleet believed that perhaps the humans had triggered their own self-destruction, protocols to prevent something from escaping. But before any conclusion could be drawn, sensors flared with new readings. Something was approaching, something massive and fast, yet unidentifiable by any database in any corner of the cosmos. And the Allied vessels formed defensive formations while attempting communication. What emerged from the darkness was not an entity, but a vessel, though calling it a vessel felt inadequate, for it was shaped unlike any craft known, built with angular symmetry and flowing curves that seemed both mechanical and organic, and its surface pulsed with faint lines of energy, as if alive. and every ship in the fleet felt an instinctual dread as it came to a halt before them, its presence exerting an oppressive pressure upon every sensor and every mind. The vessel projected a beacon of light, and from that light stepped a single human figure, not armored, not carrying weapons, and not expressing panic, but instead radiating a calm intensity that unsettled every observer, for this human was different, their posture deliberate, their gaze steady, and their appearance marked not by uniform or rank, but by a symbol the allied species did not recognize. A simple geometric shape engraved upon a metal band worn around the neck, the figure introduced themselves as a representative of a group known only as the Silent Division, a division unknown to every database, every intelligence archive, and every shared treaty record. And the voice of the figure carried a weight that compelled attention, for each word held an undercurrent of authority that felt ancient and unwavering. The representative explained that the distress signal had indeed come from the outpost, but what had arrived had not been an invader from beyond or a monster from myth, but something far more complicated, an experiment older than any current civilization, a remnant of a forgotten era of human advancement, created and sealed away long before humanity made first contact with the wider galaxy, and somehow awakened by a cosmic fluctuation that no one had predicted. The Allied fleets listened with disbelief as the representative described the entity that had been released, a construct capable of overwhelming entire systems, designed in an era when humans were fewer, scattered, and experimenting with technologies they later abandoned due to ethical concerns and uncontrollable power. And this construct had been sealed away within hidden vaults across the galaxy, vaults that only a select lineage of humans could locate or access. And the outpost had accidentally uncovered one. The representative explained that once awakened, the construct attempted to restore itself by absorbing energy from its surroundings, consuming matter and converting it into fuel, and the outpost became its first source, leading the research team to send the ancient distress signal, the only code they believed might reach someone capable of dealing with such an entity. Though they did not know who would answer, the allied species demanded to know how such a thing could exist without any galactic record, and the representative responded that humanity had not hidden it out of malice, but out of necessity. For the galaxy at that time was fragmented and unstable, and releasing knowledge of such constructs would have led to catastrophic misuse. Thus humanity maintained their silence, even after joining the galactic community. Believing that the vaults were sealed forever, the fleets demanded a demonstration of this so-called Silent Division's ability to handle the situation, for they had no intention of allowing a single human group to wield such responsibility unchecked. Yet before discussions could escalate further, sensors flashed once more. The construct had arrived. At first it appeared as a distortion, a ripple in the void. Then it grew into a shifting mass of luminous fragments, swirling like shards of broken stars, its shape never settling, its edges flickering between forms, and its presence felt like standing before a storm made of consciousness and hunger. And every ship trembled under its gravitational pull. The Silent Division representative stepped forward, and from the strange vessel behind them emerged a field of twisting light, forming a barrier that surrounded the entire coalition fleet, absorbing the immense pressure the construct emitted. And as the fleets watched in awe, the representative raised one hand and activated a sequence of symbols upon the geometric band they wore. The construct reacted instantly, its swirling form collapsing inward, condensing into a more defined shape, as though being compressed by unseen forces, and the representative's voice echoed through the communications channel, instructing the fleets to maintain distance, for direct engagement would only strengthen the construct. As it fed upon all forms of energy and resistance with precise control, the representative manipulated the symbols, each gesture causing the construct to waver, twist, and shrink, as though being herded into a containment pattern. And while the fleets could not understand the mechanism, they could see the effect. The monstrous entity was being forced into dormancy after a long, intense effort. The construct finally collapsed into a crystalline form, floating motionless in space, no longer radiating overwhelming power. And the silent division vessel projected a containment shell around it, sealing it securely within a stasis field. The fleets were silent, shaken not by the danger they had witnessed, but by the revelation that humanity harbored secrets far older and far more powerful than any had imagined. And the representative addressed them calmly, explaining that the silent division existed to manage these forgotten creations, ensuring they never threatened the cosmos again, and that the event at the outpost was an unfortunate accident, not an act of aggression or concealment. The allied species exchanged fearful glances, realizing that while humanity appeared young compared to ancient empires, they carried scars and knowledge from epochs no one else remembered. And the representative assured them that humanity had no intention of dominance or control, only responsibility and vigilance. For these constructs were their burden alone when the representative departed with the sealed code.